Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ellington with the Backseat Generals. Today, I'm bringing to you guys a 3v3 on Athens. So, today, on the attacker side, on the attacking side, we've got three factions, including Seleucid, Egypt, and the Romans. So right here, as you can see, we've got Seleucid and Egypt. Seleucid is being brought by Billy Blaze, and Egypt is being brought by Poopy Man. Now, Rome decided to go all the way over here on this other side. It's not a bad idea. It splits up the defense, means that it's harder for the defenders to concentrate down on one small point. Rome here is being brought by Peter McDeeter. Then on the defensive side, the three factions we have are Pergamon, another Seleucid faction, and Massilia. Pergamon is being brought by Dave the Vassal. Seleucid, which is kind of split. Seleucid has some troops over here helping Dave out, but then the majority of their troops are over there. Seleucid is being brought by Anonymous, and then Massilia is being brought by myself. So our idea here was that we decided that we were going to have two of us take on the two, and one of us take on the one, with a couple troops in support, of course. So we're just going to go ahead and get started here. Now, as you can see, I did kind of cut off a little bit of this, just to get the siege equipment up a little bit closer here. So you can see Egypt is already about to land their siege towers and their tortoises over here. Oh, and they actually have a ram there as well. Seleucid is starting to get close in with theirs, so they came in pretty quick here. As you can see, we've got a pretty stern defense sitting here. I've got some Massilian hoplites backed up by some thorax swords, and then Anonymous is going to help me out with some hillmen to hopefully take some of their fire. Then over here, once again, I've got Massilian hoplites backed up by thorax swords, with some axe warriors watching the gate. Over here, I've got a couple of units kind of waiting around, getting ready to support different areas. And then Seleucid here has got a couple hillmen, thorax swords, and then as you can see, we've got quite a bit of our archers right in here. Now, all the way on the other side, something we had kind of guessed would happen. Rome is kind of taking its time, so that's a good idea if you're kind of attacking all by yourself and your allies are on the other side. Sometimes it helps to kind of delay for a sec, let the other side put some pressure down while you kind of bide your time a little. As you can see over here, I actually have a unit outside the walls. This is a unit called the Mercenary Gallic Hunters, Gallic, I'm not sure exactly. They actually have two abilities called Stalk and then another one I'll tell you about a little bit later when it becomes relevant. But Stalk is one that allows you to move about the map unseen unless the enemy is within a certain distance of you. So even though they have clear line of sight, they cannot see these guys right here. So we might try and do something kind of fun with them later. As you can see, I have 2 units of cav sitting here waiting to go out this gate at some point, and Dave actually has a couple units of cav here also waiting to go out the gate. This is going to be kind of an interesting sally out. I'll show you that when it happens. It's going to happen a little bit later. You know, sometimes it helps on a sally out to delay a little bit. You don't have to go out and sally out immediately. So, now, as you can see on this side, these walls went down pretty quick. So Anonymous is sending in some units to help kind of plug these gaps a little bit and kind of counter out the other Seleucid player. Now, I got caught. I think I was looking at a different side of the map, and I had not adjusted my troops to fill for this gap right here. It's a really good way to go. When you're going to attack this side of the wall of Athens, it's a good thing to bring your tortoises here rather than over here. Because now, instead of having this little thing to hold, now I have this big gap to hold. So as you can see, I finally kind of noticed that, and I'm adjusting my troops to account for it. Now, Egypt right here is up on the walls, and they're pretty much uncontested at this point. They actually have quite a bit of troops on the walls. One, two, three, I think 4 units of troops up on the wall, but it looks like that we are going to be starting to counter that. I've got a unit of thorax sword moving over this way, and I'm having to adjust my lines to account for the gate and this gigantic breach. To be perfectly honest with you, this battle did not start out very well. My archers are still sitting back here. I've got 2 units of the mercenary Gaelic hunters and 1 unit of Celtic slingers. They're getting ready to kind of support this area here and maybe support up on the walls. Sicilian hoplites. My axe warriors are kind of going in. As you can see, the enemy is doing a pretty good job with their Cretan archers here, getting some really good support in this gap. That's really hurting my forces quite a bit there and making it hard for me to hold. Seleucid has another unit of thorax swords coming in this way. Looks like he had a unit of cav that he kind of left over on this side here. I think the reason for that is that on Athens, this gate back here almost never gets attacked, which leaves it pretty much open. And that means that a lot of people do like to sally out their cav out of this gate and go attack the armies on this side. So a lot of players set up units like cav or something facing this direction, ready to counter anything that comes that way. But if you also look, they were able to get a siege tower over onto this wall and are actually sitting up here. Now, if they had been a little quicker on this, they probably could have done some pretty nasty damage to us. So they sat here on the wall for a little while without any of us being over there. I think we kind of realized they were there, but we didn't go do anything about it. Had they immediately moved down this wall, they could have easily captured this gate before we knew about it. That cav could come back and gotten through this gate and just wreaked havoc on us. Athens is one of those settlements that while the walls are very hard to take, the interior is extremely open, which means that cav is actually pretty effective in the interior of Athens. Had they got through that wall, they could have hidden anywhere in here without us knowing where they were until they struck us. Excuse me. Well, right here, as you can see, we've got 2 thorax swords kind of fighting, holding this line here, kind of keeping these guys back. I've got a Massilian hoplite sitting there. On this side is still just not looking great. There's just a lot of gap here. This Massilian hoplite, I really should have moved it into this spot right here to fill in this line. As you can see, Anonymous and myself are kind of holding back this area here. We're getting some pretty good archer support into that line over there. I'm starting to move some thorax swords over to help out there, and I'm adjusting my archers because my archers, I think, were getting hit by the Egyptian archers, which is unfortunate. It's not good. You don't want to be losing archers like that. Didn't look like I lost too many though, so that's good. So he's moving up his archers to... Man, that's a good shot. These archers are getting a really good angle on the back lines over here. So it's a good angle there. Let's see. Over here... Rome... Looks like Rome is just now starting to get to the walls. They really delayed their attack to let the other units, the other side, get a good push off. As you can see, I moved my Gaelic hunters all the way back to the back there. I wanted to keep them well out of the way so they didn't get randomly spotted by something, and get them caught outside. Because you can see where I had them hidden was right there. This siege tower is pretty darn close to where they were. So now up here, let's see, what does Dave got? Galatian swords. And he's supporting it on the ground with 2 units of archers. Anonymous looks like he's sending over some hoplites, which is they'll be good for holding the line, keeping Rome back a little bit, which was kind of what our hope was. We wanted to kind of delay Rome as much as possible. I moved my archers and slingers over this way to start hitting the walls because on these walls, is the Galatian Royal Guard. And that is a nasty unit, and that is a unit that my Thorax Swords will not stand up against. So while my Thorax Swords are up there fighting, I use my archers to sit there and pelt those Galatian Royal Guard in the back. Looks like Anonymous had sent up a Thorax Sword to clean up the units that were up there already. And on this side, it looks like we kind of got this solidified a little bit. Now the issue is, now they're bringing in pikemen. Now myself, Massilia does not have pikes. Seleucid does, but I don't think his pikes are anywhere around, unfortunately. So this is going to be an issue. We do have archer support here, but the issue with that is that our units are in combat, which means that as you're shooting the archers in, you're getting, you're kind of getting friendly fire in the process. So getting to these getting to these pikes with archers is not going to be a super easy feat. So I believe at some point I had to kind of point this out to Anonymous. His archers were continuing to shoot these Thorax Swords, because I don't think he realized that the Egyptian pikes were in combat here. So I think I got him to, readjust his archer angle so that he could get a better shot on these guys. So right now, as you can see, it's holding all right. It's not the greatest, but we're holding. We have another Egyptian pike came through the gate that is really, man, this line here is just getting shot to hell by these archers. As you can see, I did adjust some of my archers to start dealing with them. But the issue is, because of these guys here, I don't think I'm going to win that fight. That's just not a good fight for my archers. So I am moving up some more hoplites up here. So once again, as you can see, it's holding okay. Now, I did send a unit of Thorax Swords over here to kind of counter these guys. They are starting to move down the wall towards that gate. Let's see, am I going to move? I think I moved down there eventually, but I'm not there yet. Dave did bring some cav over here just to help out in case they did come off the walls. We would be able to double team them with the Thorax Sword and the Pergamene's Noble Cap, which is I must say is a pretty nasty cav unit. They're pretty darn good. I like them. They do pretty good. So they are moving down. I have not moved yet, so we'll see if we get down that way. Anonymous does have his pikes back here. They're a little further back than I would want them to be, but I think he was really worried about them getting caught by archer fire or something like that. But they are in a position where they can go support if need be. He's holding pretty well over here. These two units of Thorax Swords are doing a pretty decent job. There is a hole here that I am pretty surprised that the attacking Seleucid player didn't try to sneak through that. Could have been a pathing issue. As you can see here, what we decided to do is we decided to pull back the line to get our army out of contact with these pikes, and then we decided to just start pelting them. The reason it took a little while to do that was because I had to adjust my archers over to get them in position, because we wanted to light it up. So as you can see, this pike is just getting shot to hell. Let's see, they're 130. Oh man, you just see just right there. 124. They were at 133 a second ago. And just each volley, they're just losing more and more troops. So that's one thing. If you don't have pikes and you're facing a pike unit, try to avoid getting in combat with them as much as possible. And if you can, just keep kiting them backwards. Move back, shoot them. Move back, shoot them. It's the best way to deal with pikes if you don't have a pike to do anything with. So as you can see, that pike is now breaking. This other pike really isn't taking much damage at all. Now this is getting to be an issue. This line is getting so thin, super thin over here. I'm starting to lose one of my axe warrior units here. Although the Thorax Sword, they're all right. They're at 89, but it's still a really thin unit. I brought this. I'm kind of in a sticky spot. I either put these Massilian hoplites here to hold this thin line, or I move them over here to hold this thin line. So as you can see, this little gap here is just, it's not looking great. That cav just did a pretty good charge on those thorax swords, and now they're getting lit up by these archers back here. Now, the unit that was in the corner here did get down, and we ended up having to send some units over to deal with it. Let's see, I think I used my cav to kind of cycle charge them a little bit, and then I had sent a unit of, I think it was this Massilian Hoplite was over there helping with it as well. Now, Anonymous here, he's got a couple units here. He still has a pretty good, decent amount of units here. It looks like Seleucid, the attacking Seleucid, did try to get through this area here, but he doesn't look like he was quite able to get through. Over on this gate, I am in combat now. It looks like I did move my units down this way to go deal with this thorax sword. So 151 versus 146. So it should be, I mean, it says melee combat even. Looks like I do have the numerical advantage just because these guys probably got shot by the towers as they walked down the wall. But that's going to be an interesting one because that is a very, very close fight. Oh! So it looks like we did move our cav out here. We got a pretty big group here of both the Massilian cav and Pergamon citizen cav are out here. We did get into combat with one of the Roman units and got it down to about half health. Looks like we're just going to kind of set up here. It looks like he did kind of form up a pretty good defensive line here to make sure that we couldn't get through to him. Now, the fun thing is, coming up behind this cav is those Massilian archers. So once again, because of that little eye up there, you can see that they can't see this unit. So we're going to move these up, and this is going to be kind of fun. So the second ability that I was talking about, they have stalk, which means you can move without being seen, but they also have an ability called snipe. Now, snipe is an ability where you can shoot the enemy, and as long as you are not within that visual range, if you're still hidden, they can't see you. They can see where the shots are coming from, but they can't see the unit. So right now, they can't see them. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to start shooting these Syrian archers. Now, I am a pretty good distance away right now. I think we were still getting set up, and I think on my other side here, let's see, yeah, so we ended up having to fall back. This side here was just completely gone, and I think that's why I wasn't shooting yet with the Gaelic hunters. It's just because I was over here keeping this side, getting Anonymous to get his troops to go back, trying to save anything I had. But as you can see, my side is gone. My general's dead. My units all broke over here. And Anonymous is just running for dear life to get back to the point. I have 2 units of, let's see, of range units here. He's got his thorax pikes, his general, and another unit of thorax pikes, and they are falling back. And Dave is also going to start falling back. Dave can't hold his position if we can't hold ours. So since we had to fall back, he had to fall back. But now you can see that freed me up to start working with my archers. So I'm moving my archers up here. Let's see. Yep, so there they go. So we're starting to get those archer shots down into the Syrian archers. Now, as you can see, those volleys, they're not quite doing anything. So this was actually my first time using these archers, so I was kind of testing them out a little bit. I didn't want to get too close, but I was like, this volley isn't doing anything, so let's get closer. Let's get closer. So I moved up a little bit further and started firing again. Now watch this. Now we're doing some damage. And it looks like Peter, he hadn't been paying attention. He was microing up against Pergamon inside. And so these archers are just sitting here getting shot. And he has no idea what's going on. And as you can see, each volley, they're just losing more and more men. I mean, look at that. It's just, oh, that's disgusting. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was having a blast with this. This is my first time using this unit. I've never used one of these like stock snipe units, but I really wanted to test out what I could do with a ranged unit that couldn't be seen outside the walls. And it ended up being, I mean, this is pretty successful. This is a huge unit. These Syrian archers are really, really good. Um, and they're just getting destroyed. You know, they're down to 53 and now they're breaking, you know, starting to waver. Now, Dave was really concerned that my archers were going to get charged if they were seen or if Pete figured out what was going on. So he moved his cav a little bit closer, and I really appreciated that. But I was like, nah, Dave, I got this. I got this. Now, as you can see, that is one Syrian archer that is completely off the field without a kill. 0 kills, and they are shattered. That's big. That's 100. You know, that could be 200 kills right there that are gone. Now, I think at this point, Pete did notice. You see, he's moving his units back in, or his archers back in, and he's starting to filter his units into the settlement as well. I think he feels that it's be easier for him to hold the interior of this with the walls than it is to sit out here against our cavalry. So he is setting up men here. He's kind of getting ready to just kind of hold off in case Pergamon decides to try and be cheeky. I'm pretty sure at this point the only units I have left are the 2 hunter units, my cav and that hunter unit, and my thorax sword up here, which my thorax sword, 140 men, 108 men. My thorax sword is actually winning that, which is kind of interesting. We were really surprised by that. Let's see, 108, 18 kills, 139 with 47 kills. So they really are kind of tearing up that other unit. Now, what we had to do, we had to book it to get back to the point. We were having a little bit of confusion in getting Anonymous and everybody back into the main cap point. As you can see, it is starting to happen here. We are starting to get the units in, but I think what we previously wanted to do was get units up onto this hill. But as you can see, Dave's already up there, so we didn't need him to go up here anymore. And so we were having to kind of get him to bring his units back and go hold this area right here. The thing that we were really surprised about was that Seleucid or Egypt, neither of them decided to go around the back here. Because there is another way to get to the cap point through the back. They decided to come through here, here, and then, of course, Rome through here. Now, as you can see, Rome brought their cav inside, and they're starting to fill in all these breaches here to make sure that we aren't able to follow them through. So Rome is looking pretty darn healthy here. They've got plenty of archers left, besides the one, of course. And then they have plenty of infantry left. We kind of set up here, basically just trying to keep them honest. You know, trying to say, hey, here we are. I did bring up Megalic Hunters to kind of get some shots in on the Equites over here, but he noticed it. And he's kind of getting out, and they're still fighting. You know, see, they're up to 110 kills. You know, that's pretty good stuff for that one unit, especially since they haven't lost a single man yet. Now, Seleucid, the attacking Seleucid, did bring up some cav to try and catch the defending Seleucid out. Pergamon, Dave, and his cav decided to come out and try and, you know, force them back, keep them off of him, so that we could get his units back in. Because he got a little nervous here. You know, he was getting kind of pincered between Rome's cav, Seleucid's cav. He was out of position, and so we were having a lot of issues, kind of trying to find a way to get him back into the cap point. Still, as you can see, he is starting to move units back towards this way. His archers, that's extremely important. We really need to get them back in. Persian hoplites, yeah, and then look at this. The thorax pikes We need to get him back in. If we lose those pikes, and that could be game over right there. Dave here is holding this back flank a little bit, just to cover it to make sure nobody tries to go around. And then my thorax swords are still duking it out with these thorax swords, and they're still winning it, but it is a slog. Back this way, Rome really just kind of took his time and started setting up. He doesn't need to be in a hurry because the other side isn't ready to come in yet. So he could kind of take his time, set up, and kind of get ready for the push. As you can see, Pergamon is still kind of zoning out Seleucid, zoning out Rome, trying to keep them honest, keep them out of the way. Basically, just trying to allow the Anonymous's Seleucid units to get back here, basically unmolested. He still has this thorax sword here, though, that has lost 30 men, and they're just looking the wrong way. We really needed him to get through. Anonymous he's still a relatively new player, and so we're still we've been trying to teach him and help him get a little better with things like the micromanaging of things, being aware of different situations, moving your units around, working with your allies to kind of prioritize things and keep things alive. So, but he did really well in this match, and it was really good to. It's really good to see a new player, to see that progress as they get better and better. So that was one exciting thing, at least for me, and I'm sure that Dave would agree as well. Now, Dave decided, most of the units are back. He can pull his cav back now. He doesn't need to have his cav out there anymore. He zoned out everybody he needed to, and so now he's going to protect his troops by getting them back. As you can see, Dave probably has the healthiest army here. He's got, let's see, 5, 9, 13, 16, still got 18 units left. He has not lost much at all. Anonymous still has a decent amount, I think like probably 10, I'd say. Now me, I've got just about nothing. Now something I decided to do over here, because my Gaelic hunters can't be seen yet, I decided to try something. Keep in mind, this whole battle was me trying stuff. Trying stuff for the first time. These Gaelic hunters, I decided, let's test this. I'm going to get them up on this wall and see if they haven't been seen yet. Can I move over to this gate and take it without Rome noticing? So I decided let's give it a go. So I'm moving my Gaelic hunters up here, and as you can see, even with units on the wall, they are still hidden. What we decided to do, I told Dave, hey Dave, bring your cav right over here by this breach and make it look like you're waiting or maybe thinking about charging into this breach. But the reality of that is what we wanted him closer to the gate here, so that if we needed to, or if we decided to, we could move that cav over and get straight through the gate. Because look right there. Rome's archers. Rome's archers are sitting there looking real nice. So as you can see, got my units up here. As you can see, they're still hidden, and it's going pretty good. Rome, I was looking real close. I was watching all these other units just waiting. I was terrified that this unit was going to start moving up onto the walls because they had been seen, but luckily they have not yet. And as you can see, I adjusted my cav now. Now my cav's a little bit closer to Dave's here. Once again, it's looking like we want to charge through one of the breaches because they can't see this. So, let's see, we're up on the walls, and now I decided to start moving down to the gate. So here's going to be the really tricky part. Do they notice that the gate is falling? Because even though they can't see this unit, they can see that the gate is falling. So if they can see that, then if they do see it, I guess I should say, then they know that something's going on over here, and they're going to go find out what it is. So I'm sitting here, and you can see that gate or that flag's going down, and over here, nothing's happening. So, I'm sitting here sweating bullets at this point. This infantry, all of this infantry, these two archers are sitting out here, and I'm just sitting there waiting because I was convinced that Rome was going to see this. So, about halfway to cap, we started to move our cav. We wanted to get the cav through the gate as soon as we capped it. So, as you'd see, it's ours. So, now it's open. So we get our cav. When you're going through gates, try to get as narrow as you possibly can. Yes, it helps you guys not get bound up on the edges quite as much. So we're going through. We decided, all right, that archer unit is right there. Here we go. All right, Pergamon's cav's coming through. All of it's hidden. And we're charging. There we go. Rome saw it. Last minute, last second, Rome saw what was going on, and he moved his archers. So we bailed. We said, nope. We cannot go charging into this. If we could get the archers, it's worth it. But if we're not getting archers, it is not worth going into that because we would just get swarmed and surrounded, and our cav would be destroyed. So we decided, no, we are leaving. So we pulled our cav out. We were like, all right, we're going to hold on to our cav for a later situation and see if something else opens up instead. Now, Rome, he's got his back protected. He's got all the breaches protected. He did a smart move here. He moved his infantry from here to here. If he had left him here, our cav could have gone down and hit him in the back. So he backed off here and just held a smaller point. He's got a unit over this way. And I think Egypt brought his units over here on the off chance that Rome needed the cav support on this side, and so he's just kind of watching this flank here, trying to make sure nothing happens over here. Now Rome is decided he's going to come try and take this upper hill. We decided to try and hold this upper hill with some units because if the attackers can take this hill with their archers, they can just wreak havoc down this way with their archers. They can do so much damage. So we decided we needed to hold that hill as long as we possibly could. So Dave has, 4 units up here. But Rome has a lot of units he can kind of commit. So right now, he's just got 2 gladiators and a legionary cohort. The legionary cohort is in Testudo, just to avoid getting these Agema spears or the Galatian swords, throwing javies onto them. This will kind of help them weather that storm a little bit. He's now moving up an Eagle cohort onto that hill, and then his units here are kind of waiting. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit. There was a little bit of a lull in the battle at this point. So, there's a lot of setup happening right now, a lot of units moving. So we just, we're going to fast forward through it until another advance happens. All right, so Dave on the hill decided to kind of move his units back and reform his line a little bit. He was trying to draw out the Romans and expose their flanks so that he could get some good jav tosses right into them. And now Egypt is moving up a archer that has no ammo left. Looks like he's probably going to sacrifice that one. Our cav is still sitting back out here, and right now I'm getting my archers down because I'm gonna take them back outside and see what else we can do with them later on. Dave did move in a unit of Agema spears here to go help me finish off this thorax sword. Because if we can finish off this thorax sword, that's another free unit to come help hold the cap point. So now looks like we might have a little bit of a lull. Once again, it looks like a little bit of setup here. Some minor fighting going on up here. Looks like the main fight right now is going to start happening up at the top. Up on this hill between Dave and Peter. Rome has sent some good units up here, a legionary cohort, an eagle cohort, and some gladiators to come take this top hill, because I think they knew the importance of this hill. It was pretty extreme. If they could take this, they were going to do some pretty nasty hurt to us. So now Seleucid and Egypt, they're holding on. I think what they're waiting on is for Rome to take this hill, so that as they advance down this corridor right here, they can get a lot of support from this upper area here. We do have a couple archers here. Let's see, Syrians, and then just standard archers. Looks like they're getting ready to kind of support this flank, because we know what's coming. We know it's going to be coming here pretty soon. I'm now moving my cav and my archers off over this direction. Once again, I'm using my cav to hopefully kind of keep them honest. Now, my cav is unseen right now, and the reason for that is because there's a wall in the way. There's no line of sight here, so they can't see the cav. And my archers are going to keep moving down this way. Up on the hill, Dave's losing this pretty hard. This Eagle cohort and this Legionary cohort have done an excellent job of just ripping through these Galatian swords. The Agema Spears should do a little better with that. They're a very defensive unit, so they should hold a little better, but those Galatian swords are just getting torn to pieces. So he's just going to hold this area here and force them to come kick him off, basically. Now on this side, my Thorax Sword did finally win. The issue is they're exhausted, so I decided I was just going to walk them slowly. We have plenty of time here, so I decided I was going to walk this unit down instead of run him back. Now, Dave did bring back his Agema Spears, and then he has a unit of Cav kind of watching this back end here. He also has some Galatian swords over this way, just on the off chance they try to loop around here, which you can do. So he put a cheap little unit here, one that wasn't like completely necessary to the primary defense. And as you can see on this side, they're just kind of, we're taking our, they got to come to us, so we're just going to let them. Top end, the units here are now in combat. Let's see, the Legionary cohort and that is going to go up against these guys, and the Eagle cohort is going to go after these guys. And as you can see, Rome's already getting ready. They are ready to go. They are so convinced that this is done. They're bringing their archers up right now. They already have Seleucid sent up a unit of archers up here just to kind of, they were out of ammo, kind of use them to take up Pila shots, things like that, so that the main line doesn't. And now on the bottom here, Rome is starting to advance. And man, he should have left these Persian hoplites in front of the pikes to take that Pila volley. It is more important to keep the pikes alive than it is to keep these guys alive. So that was kind of a bad move there. I would have left the Persian hoplites in front just to soak up that ammo instead of the thorax pikes doing it. And as you can see, Rome just taking his time. He's in no hurry. Top edge here. Still being pretty hard fought. These Agema Spears are doing some pretty good damage. 100 kills, 73 kills. And then we also have some archer support as well. Some damage. So that's helping. Let's see. The Agema Spears are doing well. Rome is still kind of biding his time. Looks like really the main thing is just right up here. These Pila volleys are he's probably out of ammo now. Yeah, now Egypt is just going to send in his depleted units and he's probably going to use them to take the brunt of the assault here. I will say this is one of the things that I really like about doing these replays is, during the battle, I was off kind of doing some other stuff or paying attention to my flank. With these replays, it allows me to kind of go over and see what my allies had been doing, how their flank went, stuff that I didn't really see during the battle. So there we go. I think Dave is the one who told him to layer up his Persian hoplites on top of his pikes so that the Persian hoplites could take the javelins. And then the rest of the units are just sitting here waiting to go in. Still has Thorax Pikes back here. Royal Peltis. Those Royal Peltis are nasty unit. Some pretty good damage. Shield Bearers. Shield Bearer, that is a unit. If you want something to hold a gap, they will hold just about as long as you can. Silver Shields, and it looks like Egypt still has a couple archers left. Rome is still sitting with Evocati cohort, Legionary cohort, Evocatis, Gladiators, and then a couple more infantry back this way. Eagle cohort, Legionary cohort, and Legionary. He's got another Legionary cohort. Up top, actually, we ended up doing pretty well on this. Wow. Team of Spears, 134 kills and 8 kills. This Eagle cohort is doing pretty good, but man, they're now outnumbered. Wow, I didn't know that Indian actually won this hill. Now, what Dave should probably do is using this unit to flank around, but he is using his archers to help support against it. Losing an Eagle cohort, that's a big deal. They are a pretty good unit. Now look at this. My Gaelic Hunters are now up. What I did is I brought them over here and I snuck them up the siege tower and used them to come down to take this tower. And once again, they're not paying attention. They don't realize this is happening. So I decided I'm going to run my Gaelic Hunters. I'm going to run them down to this gate. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did over there, but do it over. Now, me and Dave were talking. We have our cav out here. He has got cav there, and I've got my cav over there. We were talking. We were waiting. We wanted to put enough pressure over here, or like hold on long enough that Pete would end up having to send these units into the combat. So we were waiting, just waiting on that happening. Kept checking over, just looking. Has he sent them? Has he sent them? No. Okay. Just wait. Yep. Let's keep an eye. Got pretty suspenseful, honestly. My Thorax swords are on their way back. 88 exhausted guys. And then it looks like Rome is now advancing on this side. The Evocati cohort, actually 2 Evocati cohorts, come in. They're getting in combat with these Persian hoplite Thorax pikeman combo. Up top, it looks like, unfortunately, it does look like this is actually starting. Dave decided to kind of pull into this corner to help keep himself from getting outflanked as much. This probably won't last long after they've got people it's going to lay into him with. Oh yeah, there it is. And he decided he's just charging, yep. Because at that point, you're just going to either get shot to death or maybe get a couple kills while you're in combat. Rome is honestly getting a little low on troops. As you can see, I did end up taking this gate, and I moved my cav over this way to see if I could maybe sneak my in. I was pretty sure that Egypt knew, because it just seemed too coincidental that his general decided to start moving this direction. Although my units are hidden. I think they had an ink. So he's going to come over here and basically he's going to protect the back end of this line just in case anything tries to come in on it. And the reason he's going to do that is because that's going to allow some of his infantry to go into combat rather than sit back here trying to back. Now Rome on this side is now in combat with the pikes, 99 pikes, Galatian swords, and they're going up against the Evocati cohort. Evocati cohort's a pretty good unit, but man, you really just pikes are almost impossible to go against unless you have pikes or archers hitting, which is one of the reasons that we thought it was so important to hold this, because the longer we held this upper hill, the longer we could hold these points, because we wouldn't be getting shot archers up on the hill. But as you could see, it does look like that's probably going to lose. This unit is breaking. Now this unit did break the small the cohort that was fighting, but it's only it's down to 36 guys. That's just unfortunately not going to last very long. My Thorax swords made it back. and they are now very tired instead of exhausted. So I asked Dave, I was like, hey Dave, can you second wind my thorax swords? Second wind is it's a general ability that refreshes your troops so they're not so tired. Pretty handy if your troop is either in combat and is exhausted, or if they've had to run a really long way and are exhausted. So if a unit gets into combat and they're exhausted, they're not going to perform as well as they should. So it's not a bad idea if it's a good unit that's really racking up kills or really holding the line, sending your general up close, getting the second wind on, letting them continue to fight. Still holding this side, nothing's really going after it, but we have to honor that side just in case they try to sneak something. Don't really have much choice in that. Spears, Galatian swords. Where did his pikes go? We had one pike here. You're only allowed to have two pikes. Fights. I don't know where his pikes went. Maybe they died. They might have gotten shot because the archers are. They'd have shot the pikes down to run away. But I think he realizes that he really needs these pikes in a different spot than this spot. He can hold this for a little bit, because nothing's really going to it yet. His Agema Spears can hold this gap for a little while too. But some of these other units, I think we just realized that, hey, man, and into the main fight, which is either here or over here. So the Agema Spears, now Anonymous did send up his silver swords, which is a good idea because Agema Spears, so spear units as a whole, they don't do very well at killing. They're really good at staying in one place and not dying, but they don't do a lot of damage to the enemy troops. So having a unit of silver shields go in, that is a sword unit that's going to do a lot more damage than the spears would. Demon Spears, most of their damage is going to come from their javelin tosses, not from their attack. Now, as you can see on this side's getting pretty thin from the thorax pikes. Egypt put his pikes in, and they're just overwhelming this. Combination of arrow fire and then multiple units of pikes up against it are really just going to cause it to fall. But luckily, they did set up a defensive line behind it to help that area. Basically, we're committed to these 2 points. We have to hold. Now, look. Remember, I was telling you how we were waiting for Pete to move his stuff. He finally moved it. It was kind of funny because we had literally maybe 30 seconds after we mentioned, like, yeah, let's just wait for him to move. Like 30 seconds later, we looked and his units were moving, and we were like, yes, because now we can get his cav in. So now we've got noble cav and citizen cav, and then back here another citizen cav with a lot more room to work. Now infantry, legionary cohorts are going to be pretty solid against cav. After the charge, cav is not very good, but with this amount of room, we can cycle charge him, so we can move this cav out and back in. And when you have multiple units of cav that can do that against one unit of infantry, really knock them down quite a bit. So what Rome decided to do, basically decided that he was going to concentrate on holding this hill to let his archers fire as long as possible, while the other units went for the front, because he realized that there was too many places he needed to hold this area that he just didn't have the troops for. So he decided he was going to consolidate his forces and come over here to this hill and hold all of just these 2 choke points. That's it. That's all he needs to hold. The thing is, he did kind of leave a couple of units high and dry by doing that. So these units here are kind of left there. He's got one that's going to protect the back. His Eagle cohort's going to protect the back of these guys as they try to force through. But this unit is screwed. It is all by itself and it's just going to get hit again and again and again by the Pergamon cav. Now, as Pergamon's cav is going, it looks like I'm still waiting before I take mine in. And my Gaelic hunters are still up as well. I think I was just hoping that they would forget about them, or just get so concentrated on the primary fight that they were thinking about their cav somewhere. And now Dave's got his third unit of cav in the fight. 2 units of the citizen cav, which is, it's okay. It's a good hit and run cav, but it's not super strong. But then he's also got his noble cav, which is a shock cav. Shock cav is one you have to cycle, cannot charge them in and leave them there. Citizen cav is melee cav, which does a little better than the shock cav at prolonged combat. So with shock cav, just make sure you keep rotating them again and again, which I personally feel you should do with all cav. But with the citizen or with the melee cav, if you need to leave them in combat a little longer, you can. As you can see, this legionnaire cohort is down to 60 men. This cav just destroyed. And now he actually had to back off a little because sure that Pergamon had his pikes in combat. Oh, there they are. Yeah, Pergamon did have his pikes in combat. Rome realized that he was just losing that fight, so he just pulled back, turtled up, and he's just going to sit there and kind of wait until something so he can pursue again. As you can see, the rest of his stuff is still just up here on the hill. And then his unit, his archers are just getting, they have this beautiful angle down on this point down here. Royal Peltis are now in combat, 150 kills, and they're still at 153 guys. So they are literally, every single one of them has killed a man, and they have plenty of potential to kill more. So Anonymous finally, he's just committing his general, and he's low on troops, which means that if his general dies, it's a little less impactful on the morale. Just because there's not as many troops for it to impact, even though it does impact our troops a little bit. But we just needed another melee unit to be in combat because this side is getting pushed really hard. So he threw in the Silver Shield swords to help hold this side. We still need something to hold this because that is starting to... If you don't hold it, they're going to break. So Dave basically just ditched the backside. There was nothing going that way that we could see, and honestly, we didn't really have much choice. So he decided he was just going to ditch this gap and come support the 2 fights here. As you can see, I've got my cav finally in, and my archers are moving around as well. My cav is basically just trying to help Bergamon's cav do some damage here. The Legionnaire cohort sitting here protecting this. He's basically just trying to protect his archers as much as he possibly can. I had taken this cav. I was gonna go help here, but I decided, you know what? Let's not. I think we basically decided there was enough cav going against this unit that we were gonna stay where we. And that's when I noticed this. The pathfinding had messed up here, and his troops were out of formation, and I had a clear gap straight up top of the hill. So I took my cav and I went straight through it, and I'm coming around this building right here, and I'm just gonna charge right into his archers. His archers are completely exposed, so I decided, you know what, we're going right for that. If I can shut those archers up, that is a huge win for us. Those archers were being a thorn on our side the whole time, and so I decided, and I'm using my other cav to keep Egypt's general engaged because Dave is bringing his units back around this way to surround him. So his general is engaged. I'm also getting archer fire in with my mercenary Gaelic hunters that are still alive. These guys, the only damage they took was from this tower right here. Right now, they're at 66 men because of that tower and nothing else. So Dave is going to charge in with his noble cav, and Egypt's going to try and charge back, but now he's kind of surrounded by 2 units Noble Cav and my Massilian Cav. And up here on the top, my Massilian Cav is, unfortunately, it got into the archers, but now it's getting um, flanked by the Legionary cohort. So that's doing quite a bit of damage to him. But I decided, I clicked on the archers, not the Legionary cohort, because I said this is the more important target. Kill as many as you can. So I'm trying to do as much damage. And even if I don't kill them, I'm shutting them up, at least for now. That archer unit is not firing, and that was the goal. Down here on the bottom here, let's see, got a combination of my thorax swords, 180 kills, and the Agema spears that it's a pretty fresh unit, still at 41, are taking on this Evocati cohort. Dave tried to take his pikes around it a little bit and kind of hit behind here with the Legionary hit the Legionary cohort with it. But it is a pretty weak pike unit. It's only got 55 guys, and he's using a small, tiny unit of Game of Spears to kind of hold off this other eagle. This is probably going to lose here. It's exhausted, 74 men, unit losing decisively. Yeah, I think these 2 units are probably going to be able to clean that unit. Let's see. Now, we did get our cav through. We broke the Egyptian general, and now our cav is just cycle charging these legionary. It's not a very open area here, so it's a little harder to get good charges, but we were able to kind of cycle between his cav, my cav. And then somehow this unit of cav is still alive and still hurting these auxiliary archers, so now this is not looking. The game of spears, Galatian swords, and now they're sneaking through a unit of mercenary creatures, and we are rushing units back over to try and stop this little troops right here. This unit's tied up, so we can pull our units back to take on these guys, because this line is not looking at. Now shield bearers are through, Evocati cohorts through, these archers are starting to push through, and now the Agema spears are going to lose soon. And now up here on the top, we left. This unit stayed to tie them down and realized that this has to hold. So we are rushing all of our troops that we possibly can, trying to get them back to help stop this flow, this attack here. Dave's Citizen Cav is coming in and getting a good charge there. Looks like he lost a couple men in that charge, and then he's going to pull out and go again. Citizen Cav, unfortunately, takes some pretty losses in that charge. Thorax swords, over 200 kills. That thorax sword, I think it was worth saving it, and keeping it from losing too many over on that gate, because it's done some pretty good work at filling some different gaps. And then, like I said, it's got 200 kills. It's still got 40 guys. It's doing pretty good over there. My archers back here, I think they were out of ammo at this point. They've got their daggers out, so they're probably going to be to try and help stop this. As you can see, the archers started firing again, trying to put down some fire on this spot to help us, help the attackers get through us. Dave he is doing everything he possibly can with his cav. He is just cycle charging again and again. This Agema spear unit, 92 men, is holding on as much as it can, but man, it's down. It's got an Evocati cohort behind it attacking the back. It's down to 84 guys. Cav is still charging around, but man, there's just so many units that we just can't really account for. This pike unit's going to be a pain in the butt to get through. It's going to be pike v pike here. 54. Oh, time ran out. We ended up winning this battle because we kept the attackers bay just long enough. It was such an exciting battle. So much fun doing this. Spectacularly played by all sides. It's just an excellent, excellent, excellent game, and it's one of the best games I've had in a while. Dave did 2132 here. His Cav did great, 181, 236, All of his archers did solid, over 100, and that's just a standard archer unit. They're not typically very good. His Agema spears here, 181, 122. Pikes did well. This pike did solid. This one, unfortunately, I think that's the one that got down by archers. Myself, my cav did solid, 84, 117, 102. My archers and slingers did great. Pretty sure this is the archer unit that's outside. My axes, unfortunately, I think they got focused down. It's not up against better units. 212 on thorax swords. All of my hoplites did okay. Once again, hoplites are not made to kill people, so they don't tend to rack up a ton of anonymous here. 151 on thorax or silver shields. 108. 108. Archers all did solid. 107, 176, 120. 230 on the pikes, 136 on these pikes, 190 on the thorax swords. Good on all those. Hillmen and Persian hoplites, not so great, but they're not very good, so it's fine. Over here with Billy Blaze, 162 thorax swords, 304 on his Royal Peltis, 370 on his Silver Shields, 250, 218 on the pikes. Really good numbers there. B-Man with Egypt, let's see, 330 on with the Galatian Royal Guard, 254 with his pikes. His cav did pretty good, 130, 73. Now Pete here, I'm pretty sure that's the unit. It's down by archers. 179, 157. He got three of archers. Interesting. 211 on the Eagle cohort, 259, 270 on 286. Good lord. 155 on these guys. Well, that is it. I really appreciate you sticking around. This was a fantastic battle. And if you really liked it, appreciate, subscribe, comment, let me know what you thought. Let to responses. So